Good morning and welcome to the webinar. We are delighted that a team from San Joaquin Delta College, consisting of Danita Scott, Dr. Alina Sala, and Daniel Fernandez, accepted the invitation and will be presenting on the Transition for Academic Success is Key task program. Before I officially introduce our presenters, please allow me to address a few logistical items. I am Will Francis, Project Director for Post-Secondary Education at the Tarjan Center. The Tarjan Center at UCLA is a federally designated Center for Excellence in Developmental Disabilities and your host for today's webinar. Support for today's webinar comes from the California Community College's Chancellor's Office through a contract that enables us to provide technical assistance and training to community colleges, DSPS, who are working to provide equitable supports, services, and opportunities for students with disabilities, including intellectual disability and autism. A number of our colleagues are unable to attend today's webinar and have requested a recording of the proceedings. To facilitate access to a clean recording of the webinar, we have muted all calls. Our presenters would love to respond to questions that arise from or that are related to the content of the presentation. Please look at the bottom of the Zoom program display where you may find a chat or text box. We are asking that you place your questions in the chat box throughout the duration of the webinar. We will address your questions and welcome you to submit as many questions as naturally arise. Through the chat function, you may ask questions at any time. We have reserved time at the end of the presentations, and we plan to address all of your questions at that time. This may be a good time to test the chat function. Please take this opportunity to enter a greeting into the chat box. Thank you. Many, if not all, of our institutions are currently working on improving our college's ability to assist students to enter and move through higher education. San Joaquin Delta College found that the transition to college was a challenge for some students, and the college developed the Transition for Academic Success is Key task program. We will learn about the primary goal of task and how to design and implement programs like task on other college campuses. We will also learn how to use task strategies to help students to build the knowledge and skills that are necessary for achieving their academic goals while attending college. We are heartened by the interest we are seeing in this topic. Thank you for joining us today. And now I will provide some information about our presenters. Danita Scott has served as the Director of Student Support Services at San Joaquin Delta College, administering Disabled Students Programs and Services, DSPS, Extended Opportunity Programs and Services, EOPS, and Cooperative Agencies Resources for Education, CARE, for nearly 9 years. Prior to that, she served in the same capacity at College of San Mateo, managing DSPS, EOPS, CARE, CalWORKS, and the Multicultural Center. Danita served on a technical assistance team visit for the Galvin Group and currently is in her 3rd year as a KPED mentor. Her passion for serving students who are identified as disproportionately impacted and/or underserved has led to the involvement on both the local and statewide levels for DSPS, EOPS, CARE, and Next Up. Ms. Scott has presented on topics from student learning outcomes to personal development workshops at regional CARE and CalWORKS retreats, as well as other statewide conferences. Her interest in easing the transition for high school students requiring disability-related services in community college was the genesis for Transition for Academic Success is Key task. Alina Sala. Dr. Alina Sala received a doctorate in educational leadership from California State University, Sacramento, with emphasis on autism spectrum disorder and intellectual disability. She is currently working as a DSPS counselor and associate professor at San Joaquin Delta College. She worked with the State Department of Rehabilitation as a rehabilitation counselor and district manager. Dr. Sala is recognized as a nationally certified rehabilitation counselor. She completed the Learning Disability Specialist Certificate through the California Community College Chancellor's Office and is currently working on her Licensed Professional Clinical Counselors, or LPCC, license. Dr. Sala is a strong advocate for hands-on and inquiry-based learning. Her professional interests focus on working with individuals with behavioral health diagnosis, autism spectrum disorder, and intellectual and developmental disabilities. Her current projects include working with foster youth and transitional age youth. Dr. Sala is a recipient of the California Association of Private Special Education Schools, or CAPSIS, Fellowship, and the Carlos J. Vallejos Research Fellowship for her contributions to transitional age youth with disabilities. Danielle Fernandez is a former DSPS adjunct counselor at San Joaquin Delta College and is currently a tenure-track general counselor and associate professor at Delta College. He is a former DSPS student who attended Delta College and eventually received a master's degree in vocational rehabilitation counseling at California State University, Sacramento. Currently, Danielle is in his second semester of a doctorate of education with concentration in educational and organizational leadership at the University of the Pacific. He plans to focus his dissertation on Latino males and the Puente Project within California community colleges. Danita, Alina, and Danielle, I would like to welcome and to thank you for your willingness to share the wealth of your knowledge with the California community colleges on this timely topic. And now, without further ado, here is Danita Scott.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us this morning. It is our honor and privilege to present to you. We thank Will for the invitation to do so. This morning, we'll spend some time talking about the genesis of the TASK program. We'll speak a bit about our community engagement. Will, you can advance the slide. Our strategies, task materials, transition for parents, curriculum, learning outcomes, and pre-post survey. This is a clip that Dr. Sala found, which I love. It does a wonderful job, I think, of highlighting the need for equity in California community colleges. And so what we see are different species of animals presented. The exam, however, is not equitable for all. And so it's a wonderful reminder that diversity does not mean equity. Pass the slide, please. And so we talked a bit about this. We'll review curriculum, learning outcomes, as well as the pre-post survey. Advance the slide, please. So what is TASK? Transition for Academic Success is Key is primarily a 2-week learning community. It is our attempt to provide a more intensive onboarding process for high school students who will require disability-related services at the California Community College. Our intent is to work with those students during the summer, prior to the start of summer classes, and to get them prepared for the fall semester by introducing curriculum that speaks to the college experience, as well as to help students understand the differences between high school and college disability-related services, their rights, as well as their responsibilities. Advance the slide. So Becky Miller, who is our former LD coordinator, and myself, we're having conversations about what we observed to be students coming in from the K-12 pipeline, really unprepared for the amount of independence and really just that transition from high school to college. And we talked with a number of special education folks. We talked with parents, really grappling with how do we onboard these students in such a way that it is meaningful, but also really connects them to the institution and prepares them for the start of the fall semester. When I first arrived at San Joaquin Delta College, it was during the time of those catastrophic budget cuts. And so many of the services that Delta College provided were really no longer available. We'd lost almost half of the department staff. And so we were really operating on a very tight, not just a tight budget, but our staffing was extremely low at that time. And so when looking at and thinking about how are we able to bring a group of students on and get them prepared for the fall semester, we looked at the ELPS program, which is the other program that I supervise, who has run and operated a very successful summer readiness program for nearly 50 years, as long as ELPS has been around in the California community colleges. And so we decided to pull from that knowledge to bring a group of students together to offer curriculum, to wrap services around them so that they were really embedded and entrenched in the institution prior to coming for the fall semester. Advance the slide, please. And so we spoke with our advisory committee. Our advisory committee meets once each semester, and it includes interagency partners like Department of Rehab, San Joaquin County Office of Education, United Cerebral Palsy, local high school districts, our California Promise local program. We have Center for the Blind and Visually Impaired, Delta Sierra Adult Education, NAMI, really a cross-section of disability specialists. I'll stop there, Will.